Hello and welcome to the Total Waterpolo Podcast. How are you? Thank you very much for joining us today for our episode with Vjekoslav Kobešćak. Vjeko is one of the best coaches in the game at the moment. He is the head coach of Dubrovnik, who are a massive club, European royalty, but also he is now the assistant coach of the French national team as they build towards the Paris Olympics in a few years' time. So he's got so much knowledge about the game, and he'll be sharing that with you in just a few moments. Just before we start, though, make sure you redeem 10% off at wearwaterpolo.com with our podcast discount code. That's podcast10. So at the checkout, type in podcast10, get a little bit of money off, and get some great kit. And of course, as I'd always like to say and remind you guys, thank you so much for your support. If you can like, subscribe, review, wherever you're accessing this podcast, that really helps us so much and we appreciate it massively. But sit back, relax, and enjoy the words of Vjekoslav Kobešćak. Vjekoslav Kobešćak, welcome to the Total Waterpolo Podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, James. I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I'm in France, in Paris right now, in French Institute of Sport, INSEP, with French national team, but we have a day off. So now it's time to do a podcast.
Yeah, nothing better to do on your day off than speak on a podcast, I'm sure. And we'll talk about the French national team and everything else shortly. I guess actually I would like to start our conversation today maybe talking about your playing career. You're obviously known for being a coach, but also you had a very good playing career. You donned the colours of one of Europe's best clubs, Croatia's best club, and it was your club for your whole career, and you were very successful throughout the 90s. So what was it like, firstly, to be part of such a big club for the whole of your career?
Well, I think that's a dream job that you can have. I don't find it really as a job. I started playing water polo when I was 9, and then in the club that I started, I get a chance to go into the senior team around 16 years of age. By the 18 years of age, I I became regular part of the senior team for the next almost 20 years. So for me, really, that's like a privilege. I managed to have a successful career. Of course, that was and still is a great club. Certainly, the thing that you had in your team and in your club, such amazing players, and such amazing history around you, it helped to be there to build you as a player, but mostly as a person. So if you can choose, it's always like to be a player in your sport and that you can live from it. That's like a best thing that you can have. Then after that, it's probably to be a coach. But I have to say, to me, being a coach is maybe even better.
Okay. We'll talk about this, of course. But you were satisfied with your playing career. I mean, Mladost won so much, Croatian Cups, twice Champions League, I think, while you were there, Len Cup. It might seem like a silly question, but did you ever have any regrets? Did you ever feel like you'd wish you'd tried something abroad, maybe?
Well, I have to tell you that I'm not fully satisfied with my career. It was a good one with many trophies, especially domestic ones. But my hopes and my plans were bigger than that. For example, I wanted, I had a plan, if you can say that's a plan, to go on the 4 Olympic Games as a player. I managed to go on the 3, and the last one, the third one, was just a little bit too much for me. And I would like that we probably won 1 or 2 more Champions Leagues, at least. Maybe this sounds silly, but that was my view regarding this. And now when I'm a coach and I analyze this from another angle, now I can see the periods of my engagement on the pool, and what would I do differently, and mm, maybe it will turn out to be even better. Maybe it will, but you never know. I'm satisfied, but absolutely that was something to remember. But I left it as soon as I stopped playing. I left that behind and become a coach. And regarding if I have any regrets not going somewhere else, not so much really, because I found then my club Mladost to be a great club. It was a big challenge to be there. It was a big honor to play for your home team club. Most of my family was also involved in the club itself on few levels. So no, I do not have any regrets. And you have to know that back then the water polo market was a little bit different than it is now. So I enjoyed my life and my career in Mladost.
Good, good. I'm pleased. And you spoke about it a little bit there about you went to 3 Olympic Games. Maybe hoped you'd go to 4, but obviously your first Olympic Games in Atlanta '96, you won the silver medal, which is a great achievement, of course. So you've obviously got Olympic experience, and obviously you went to coach at 2012 as an assistant, and of course with France coming up. So you have Olympic experiences as a player, and you will as a coach as well. But what were your lasting memories from your Olympic experience specifically?
Well, Olympic Games are the mm, just the top of any athlete's career, I think. And to participate on the Olympic Games is just amazing, and you cannot compare this to anything else. I had a mm, privilege to be on the 3 Olympic Games. I I we won a silver medal in Atlanta in '96, and that's just amazing experience. Since you come to the Olympic venue, since you go to the opening ceremony, it's just something that lasts for life, and definitely uh, something to say to the young players, to the young people overall, that that's the aim that if they can, they should go to. That's just amazing.
Yeah, and just before we move on away from your playing career, you had a good career, and now you're known for the coach that you are. How would you say, as a whole, that your playing career informs how you are as a coach? Do you think if one of your teammates, many of them, if they saw you now on the coaching, they would say, "Oh, Vjeko was always going to be this kind of coach," or do you think actually you've actually become a different coach to the player that you were, or a coach that you would have liked to have had when you were playing?
Well, that's uh, maybe a difficult question. First of all, I didn't want to be a coach, and there was not even a day during my playing career that I thought I will be a coach.
You didn't
I
want to be a coach?
No, no,
No.
really, it's that wasn't my plan, and that was not my desire, because when I was a player looking at the coaches, I saw and realized that they depend on the many subjective opinion of the club and the environment around them, from the people that maybe don't know the water polo itself as I thought they should. So I saw this as definitely demanding job. I always had mm, many interest in my life, so I tried to dream of something else. And then when I stopped with my playing career, relatively young, I think, because I was 33 years of age, I become like a sport director and coordinator of the young selections in Mladost Zagreb. But as I didn't have any experience of being a coach, and I was in charge of all the coaches in Mladost, I said, okay, I'm gonna take one group that was under 12 with one of my colleagues, just to see what it's like, then, so that I can say to the coaches what I think, because for me it doesn't seem logical that you are the boss of something and you don't know the subject of it. So at the first day when I came to the practice with these kids, I was infected by this idea of being a coach, and after that it all rolled on, and then senior coach and my greatest mentor, Ozren Bonacic, said to me that I need to be a coach and that I need to be with him in the senior team as an assistant, and things moved on from there. And if I don't know how the guys look at me, because I don't think that any of these guys that I'm coaching right now saw any of my games, and but it's better not to see this. That was a long time ago. But during my playing career, I was the player who would like to analyze the game itself, my team, opponent team, to have an idea. So maybe I had this kind of coaching thinking inside and outside the water. I was my engagement in the game was very big, not only throughout the game but also afterwards. And to become a coach, I told you I really didn't have plans. I didn't go to school to be a coach or anything, but my range of interest led me to be I hope successful coach as I am now, and gave me some kind of a bigger picture, seeing the team and the game itself.
Yeah, and you said obviously that you at Mladost, you were then the assistant, and of course you were the assistant at London 2012, and then obviously the love affair with Dubrovnik started a little bit later. Were you surprised, as someone that was a top player coming out and then coaching? Were you surprised maybe with how difficult or maybe easy it was? Were you surprised with maybe how much you learn after you stop playing?
Well, I think that for me it was easier to be a coach than a player. Looking at it now, I had mm, big luck probably coming to a pool. I always liked sports, and coming to a pool and start water polo, because water polo wasn't my first choice when I was young. It was football, basketball, of course, all the other sports. And the first day I came to the pool and jump into the water and feeling the ball, uh, I, I I understood things that was happening around in the game, and that was like what. So I saw the logic in this game. Uh, with being a coach, I think that I continue with this. To see, to feel the game, to feel the structure of a game, and uh, I have. I'm blessed that from the beginning, I found something that I I understand, and that somebody is actually paying me for doing this that I like. It's like to be a rock and roll star. So, but there is a big difference between being a player and a coach. Of course, everybody knows this. As a player, you really see just a small amount of tiny things, and you cannot see the whole picture. Only the best ones really understand the whole picture of the game itself, and not only the game but overall structure, organization, and everything.
Okay. And so eventually you joined Yug. How did this come about? How did you get the job? Can you explain to us, maybe the conversations that were being had with you before you signed on as the head coach?
Yeah, what I have to say, uh, that regarding my involvement in Mladost, I really had an, let's say, easy or easier path to become to be involved in a club after my playing career, and then as I told you, my mentor pushed me, as a coach. Then federation also pushed me inside the federation as a coach, as assistant coach to another my great mentor, Ratko Rudic. So I I really have to say that I was privileged throughout my whole career since the beginning, until now, that I had this path, and relatively, you cannot say in a sport easy path, but it is easier path probably for me than for some of the guys. I was a head coach of Mladost for 4 years. Juk Dubrovnik was arch rival for us, and this is still the big rivalry between these two clubs. So it's not really realistic that you move from Mladost to Juk or from Juk to Mladost. Um, it's a big fuss around this. The president of Juk back then was my big friend, and I know many people in Dubrovnik. My mother is born in Dubrovnik, so I had connection with Dubrovnik before. But you basically, I was certainly between 3 4 biggest enemies of Juk Dubrovnik over the period of 15 to 20 years. They didn't have the results they expected. They called me. That was on Christmas Eve, and asked me to come. My friend, president of the club, asked me. We spoke for about 5 to 7 days. In the end, I say, hey, it's the middle of the championship. You have a good coach there, and they really had a good coach back then, Miško Bobić. And said, I don't think now it's the time. If you don't get better during the season, then during the summer we will speak again if you want, and see what will happen. And he said, okay, you turned me down for now, but if I call you again, we will not speak anymore. You will just sign the contract. And I said, okay, because I thought that we'll wait until the summer. 2 months after that, the results didn't get any better. He called me and said, you know what we spoke 2 months ago? I said, I know, I'm coming tomorrow. And next day I was in Dubrovnik. And I have to say that for the first not only months, but I will say probably a year or two, I was in Juk solely on verbal commitment. So that was the relationship that I had and still have with these with these people in the club. And I have to say that when I was in Mladost, I've noticed that I was attached to the emblem of the club, to the picture. In Juk, I was from the beginning attached to the people, to the persons, and our relationship, and that's the biggest difference, if you ask me, between my involvement in Mladost and in Juk.
That's a really cool story, and obviously they trusted you fully, even if you were one of the three biggest enemies of Dubrovnik before you moved there. So after you'd agreed, after they had phoned you up for the second time, did you outline a plan? Did you outline a vision for how you wanted Juk to play and how you wanted things to be run?
Yes, but Juk is really well organized club, looking in a water polo terms. Now you have the board of the club, which is constituted by the president, 3 vice presidents, director, and when we speak about the water polo, the team and the organization of the teams in the club, then the coach is also part of this. When there is a financial aspect, no, and there was always a clear plan. There was always this kind of the meetings where we would discuss brainstorming, how it's called, in which direction we would like to go and in which direction we can go regarding our possibilities at that moment. So with the ex-president Lukša, who is my friend and who is now the president of the big football club in Croatia, with the president who is now Tomo, who had great and term these 5 years, especially during COVID. We remained stable, throughout many difficulties. And with the next president that is coming from the September, you had a clear plan who is going to lead the club in the future. That's the first thing, which is very important. So we know who will be here in the next period. Then you have amazing surrounding regarding the knowledge of water polo, not only on the pool, but it's also on outside the pool. The quality of the speak is really high, and this is the city where water polo is the main sport, and you are always, the spotlights in this city are on you, which is I found it as a good thing. Really, it has some bad things around, but I found it as a good thing. And the whole structure of our functioning is I think it's on a much higher level than in most of the other clubs in Europe. Only the ones who have more financial abilities, are able to outperform us, in regarding this. So this is the first step of our success. And then you have the great history of results and the great history of producing and raising the players inside the club, and for a place that has less than 50,000 inhabitants, I think it's a major deal. And one of our always main goals is to have the most of the team who is raised in our club. And for me, to come to see this, to be part of this, I saw immediately the benefits of it, advantages, and now I'm there for 7 years, and I hope that I will stay at least 7 more, because the environment to work and to live water polo is better than in most of the other places.
Yeah, agreed. You're talking about the future, but I just would like to just talk about maybe your first season and a half at Jug. It's all well people bringing coaches to clubs and saying, "Oh, well, we've got a long-term plan," but you still need to do well in the short term. And I think it's fair to say you did that pretty well. I might be right in saying that you won every competition you entered in the 2015-16 season: Champions League, Super Cup, Croatian Championship, the Domestic Cup, and the Regional League. That's pretty good for your first few years of coaching. What do you think the secret to the success was in those early days of you taking over the reins at Jug?
Well, that was back then. The trophies began to, to escape us last few seasons. But yes, well, they brought me because they wanted trophies, and that they wanted a change. We had a good team when I came, but I think that we all thought that we need some changes in the team. Changes happened. We built an amazing team, really. We brought Xavi Garcia, who became native. We brought Felipe Perone, then we brought Josip Prlić, then we brought Luka Lončar, and that was a team really that since the beginning, in all aspects, inside and outside the water, it really raised the level of the club itself. And when you're in such a great club, it means something. And we managed to, in the 2015, 16, and 17 also was very successful. That was the period with this team, and we managed to won a Champions League, come to the final of the next one, be very close to won the 2 Champions Leagues in a row. After that, we were not able to keep this quality, inside our team. But again, I think that we are competitive every year, and that we will be competitive for many more years to come. But yes, that beginning was amazing. That's something that was one of the turning points in my coaching career, definitely.
Okay. And you said subsequently maybe some trophies have got away from you, but you're still always very, very competitive. Having been at a club for 7 or 8 years or so, how do you make sure that your players, the club, you personally, you still stay focused and refreshed? You're obviously still so hungry for success, but after a few years, sometimes things can wear away. How do you make sure that the people around you, stay focused on your aims and achieving them?
Well, it's not easy, let me tell you. And to be a long time on one place, it has challenges. It happened to me in Mladost, definitely. It's happening in Jug also, because to have a successful relationship during a longer period of time, it's challenging. We did fall asleep, and we do occasionally fall asleep, because I remember after these two successful seasons, that when we become to like a struggle one season, and we lost one trophy, and then we lost the second one, and I didn't have any big criticism and reaction from the board, which I expected, really, because it is like this in a sport, and I came to one of them, and I asked him, the one really very important person in the club, one who is probably the most responsible for the success over last over 20 years now in Europe. And as long as he is here, I think that Juve will be so successful. And I asked him, hey, we lost two trophies in a row, and you are still not criticizing me or the team. Why is that? And he said, hey, we would like to that we won, but after we won all those trophies before, and after you see the wall with our national titles, European titles, how can you criticize the guys? They put the best effort they had, and we lost because the opponent was also good, and let's move on and try to win the next one. So sometimes you just cannot be at the peak the whole time. I remember 2015-16 was the great, amazing. The hunger was throughout the team was amazing. And then the next season, when we won everything, the team was the same, but you could feel that the energy is different. Okay, so it's really energy is something that you can use. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not, and you have to. I think that the first thing that coach needs to do is to bring this energy and the desire into the team for practice, and with the practice for the win.
Yeah, yeah, nice. And we've kind of looked back a lot so far on this podcast. Maybe now it's time to look forward a little bit. What's your hopes, and what is your expectations for Jug over the next year or two? Obviously within the next Olympic cycle, where do you see Jug, and what are their goals?
Well, let me tell you that Jug is celebrating in the next year 100 years of existence, and the plan was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that after our last Champions League, that we will try to build a team for to win a Champions League on centennial, celebration. It's the life gives sometimes leads you into different direction, and our financial capabilities were not on the level of uh, some of our opponents in the Champions League. So we are not in a position that in the next 2 seasons be on the level with the budget with the guys that are competing at the final eight of the Champions League. But we are still aiming for the trophies in the national championship, maybe in the regional league. But now the regional league is extremely difficult and demanding, like Champions League. And to be competitive, to be around these 8 clubs or 6-4, whatever the system of competition will be in the Champions League throughout this next period. If we manage to raise the quality of our team, the quality is good. I think that we have amazing players right now, and that we goes into the final 8 with the quality of European clubs. But if we could manage to raise this a little bit more, then we will go for the try to go for the European title. But you see by yourself that it's every year is harder and harder to do this.
Yeah, of course. I'd like to talk about something, I guess, in the spirit of looking forward on a specific aspect of coaching that you seem to really excel at. I know there's lots of aspects that you're good at, but you're maybe renowned for being a particularly good coach that develops young players, helping them transition from the junior game into the senior professional game, and giving young players opportunities. Some of them we're seeing now at the moment. Would you agree that developing young players, helping them deliver on their potential, is one of the most satisfying elements of coaching for you?
For me, definitely. Since I started being a coach with the under 12, and then being the guy who I was leading the junior teams in the national team, and in the senior team, I always like to have these young players getting involved, to see them. This is a very difficult task to see someone who is young and not try to judge him as he is at that moment, but to predict at some point where he can go with his career and with his development. So you have the science is behind us, and looking at those guys, you can be certain about some things regarding their development, but this main thing, and that is the game, you can really never know. But your experience and maybe your sense of the game gives you some kind of the insight. And this is, for me, it's really something that I enjoy. I wouldn't have any problem if I stop being a senior coach right now to go back and work with the younger players, with the younger selections, 12, 13, 14 years old. It's really a pleasure for me, and to see those guys evolve. Now that there is I started with the under 12, and now 15 years later, I saw many of those guys playing on the senior level. With one of those guys, I was, negotiating 1 month ago to come to Jugend. You help them not only being players, but also persons. The sport itself has such a positive impact on every child that is in a sport. So it's really, the first thing is not if they're going to be the high level players or the athletes. It's that it will be helpful for their growth for their life, and then when you try to predict the development of some young players, it's, for me, it's the biggest challenge that I can have in front of me.
Yeah, and it's nice you're developing them in and out of the pool. But I think it's fair to say, and you might agree, that the way that young players particularly, are developing over maybe the last 20 years has changed quite a lot. There's a lot of big differences, a lot of new challenges. In your opinion, what have you noticed that is different from perhaps when you were a younger player growing up, or even when you were first coaching at Mladost, and now? How are the challenges different? And what are the biggest differences between how players are developing now?
If I would have to describe this in one sentence, I would say that these days young players have better physical abilities, not abilities, but physically, because of the impact of kinesiology and the progression of the practice itself, and the knowledge about the practice, that physically they are superior to counterparts of 20 years ago, for example. But regarding creativity in the water and in the game, they are weaker. The game itself is different. Physically, it's more demanding now. Maybe one of the reasons that it's harder for the young players to evolve and to become the senior team players. So maybe now it takes a little bit more time than before. But I'm just saying, maybe this is not this is my opinion. Definitely, and in Croatia, but I see in the region itself, but also when I spoke with the coaches around Europe, they have the same opinion. You have the one border between the generations. It's up to the 90s, up to the millennium generation. After that millennium generation, from the millennium generation, those were the kids that grew up in different environment than generations before. Every generation is different in some way, but this is the big gap between these two generations. The millennial generation grew up in and still is growing up in a big surplus of everything, so their attention and focus is not so much on the game itself, like probably the generations before. Great kids, smart kids, definitely, with some of the knowledge, but you could see the difference. And for us is to try to adapt ourselves, change what we can and what we cannot, to adapt ourselves. And there is still potential between those guys, and to try to see how the player can raise, how can he develop, but also to see where the game itself will go. So to now you have, for example, I would say with Marco Juvela, the guy who is now in the national team from you, and we developed it a few years ago. He had amazing physical potential, but amazing, and you could see that you can teach him to play many positions. And we were in a doubt what to do with him, as a defender or left or right, maybe center, maybe goalkeeper, who knows. And then it seems that the water polo itself developed to that it's better if you can play, that you are not specified for only one position, but that you can change your roles. And now that this is his great benefit, which maybe wouldn't be 10 years ago or 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So, okay, you try to see these two things, the game and the player itself.
A question I would have, and I don't want to make you feel old, but you are of a generation that, as you said, is very different to maybe Marco, who you're just talking about now. Do you feel that you're equipped as a coach to deal with these kind of modern day scenarios that now the younger players are growing up with, social media, maybe luxuries that maybe that weren't there? Do you feel as a coach you are in a good place to deal with these kind of problems that might arise out of this?
It's up to you to adapt yourself to any of these challenges. It seems that the time and the environment is changing faster than it was before, so you have to adapt faster. But it's up to you to utilize all these things and to feel comfortable. Uh, you just have to you have to be aware of the modern times. Let's say like that, because they have the impact on your job also. And you if you stay in the past, if you will watch your coaching career always comparing it to your playing career, I think that's a mistake number one. If I will see my coaching career as a winner of the Champions League in 2016, I think that's the second mistake that I could make. So uh, that's why I'm right now, for example, with the French national team, and I put myself into position of assistant, because I think that was a good choice for me, and to maybe even this to feel something, to learn something, to put myself to in a position that I can accept more of the knowledge and things surrounding me, helping me to stay on the path of being a successful and a good coach.
Yeah, so we're now talking about France, and you're obviously brought in to help to assist Florian to bolster the experience and knowledge, which all seems to be heading to France at the moment in preparation for the Paris Olympics. How are you enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying it. First of all, this is because of Florian Bruzo and his involvement and his energy, desire, and his human, mm, you know, mm, human energy that I'm here. And I know him for 10 years now, even more. We always had a good and very professional, relationship. Now we raised this to another level, and he built up something that will hopefully put France not only regarding the Paris and the Olympic Games itself, but the future of water polo in France will probably probably be on the higher level, and I see myself also part of it, and great challenge, but also something that now I want to do. My experience right now with the players, with the coaching staff, and overall surrounding here in France is amazing. And I have to tell that to me it seems that Florian raised the level of this organization of the coaching staff, the work and itself among the water polo itself. I have to say that for me it's a great thing to see these things, and this is a nation with many major sports, and to be in a facility like we are now in their Institute of Sports, it's something to see really.
Yeah, agreed. I think we can all see the improvements. Did the French Federation expect from the team, expect from you as the coaches? Well, obviously, we're talking about Paris as being the main goal. Are they expecting a medal?
Certainly, there is a gossip around for a medal. I would not like to speak in that direction. I want to see improvements, individual and as a group. We definitely want, and I think that we can be among the. I don't know if I'm counting right, but seven major European nations. And to be among the best eight in Europe and in the world in the years to come. So that's the goal that we can achieve, and we are going for that. When you are inside this group, then you are close to the medal. It seems that you are close to a medal. You are still very very far away. It's not an easy. This is in water polo community. This is an establishment, let's say, of these big water polo nations, and it's not hard to go inside between them and to try to spoil their plans regarding the medals and everything. But France, as a France, now There is a league which is very competitive, with some clubs that are investing. If there will be improvement in work with the young players, and if the numbers of the young players will rise, then we have a good fundament for the results, for the good results in the future. And the team that is right now here and that will compete in Strasbourg, World League, Split, and in Olympic Games in Paris is competitive with a good mixture of the old experienced players and the young stars to come.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You won't talk about the medals, but we had Thomas Vernu on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he said something really interesting that I think you might be able to comment on. But he talked about a shift in the mindset of the French players about after Podgorica, the World League. He talked about how disappointed they were to lose to teams like Montenegro, Croatia, Greece, countries that not so long ago they probably wouldn't have ever thought about being disappointed losing to in this kind of way. Do you see this when you're training at the high performance center? Do you see this in the players now? They can be physically good, they can be technically good, but a lot of it's in the mindset. Do you see their mindset now becoming that of a top water polo nation?
Yes, I see, and they are justified to feel themselves like that, and we need to be like that. We still have a way to go to be every game competitive with these teams. And in Podgorica, it was obvious. There were 3 games there. The first one, the second one, we lost, but we were there. On the third one, we were not there. And this is the mentality that we are trying to change, to raise the quality as much as it's possible, not only regarding the young players, but also the older ones, because you can raise the level of the more experienced players also. It's hard, but it's possible. And now when you have Marseille, who is a major club in Europe right now, you will have Tourcoing and Noisy, and hopefully Strasbourg, that will also be highly competitive on the European stage. And I just think that we need to raise the level of our expectations very, very high, and then then probably we will be able to raise the quality of the results in the future.
Raising the attitude, raising the quality of results. And I guess one last thing before we take a break is just what France are doing at the moment. And I know they have the investment because of the Olympics and other things, but from the bottom up at schools, at colleges, we've seen in the women's game as well, they're really, really making big progress. Do you think what is going on in France is sort of like a model for some of the Western and Central European countries, maybe Scandinavian countries like Belgium or maybe even the UK? Do you think this is a good model that countries like this to grow and develop their national teams and their leagues?
Hopefully. Well, let me tell you that France still has a long way to go. It has the infrastructure to be a major water polo player on the world level, because of the number of the clubs, because of the number of the pools, because of the wealth of the nation, and I think that for water polo community, for water polo world community, it would be essential that nations like France step up with the better result organization and everything. I know that this could put in a jeopardy, in danger, the establishment of the water polo world among the nations that are dominant right now. And but the only way to raise the level of our sport is to get involved some major nations in Europe right now. I think that the France is in the best position regarding that. something that is happening in France, and that's you could see that the junior women's team was very good in Netanya, Israel last week. Hopefully, the men's team will also be good. First of all, we need constantly to be, as I said, we now I'm speaking about France, so we need constantly to be on the major competitions with the senior and junior teams in men's and women's water polo, and then to raise, as I said, to raise the level of the work within the clubs regarding the young generations. There are nations in in Europe that probably can achieve this. I don't know if it's possible, but the nations that have the infrastructure for this are certainly Germany, Holland in at the first place. Maybe Turkey or some other nations, maybe Romania. That they can see the model of France in the future if France will be successful. So this needs to go through at least one Olympic cycle, possibly two, and then you can say that you raise the level. So it's a long term project, but again, we all know that it's essential that France, Australia, United States, Japan, Germany, to become major players on the water polo stage.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
United
Vjeko,
United Kingdom, of course.
yeah, let's not talk about this. Vjeko, we'll take a break and we'll come back in part two with some questions. Welcome back to part two of the Total Waterpolo Podcast. I'm with Vjeko Kobešćak, and this is the part, Vjeko, where we put questions to you that we've received on social media. The first question we ask to all our guests, though, is for them to give their total seven, their ultimate team, 7 players, past or present. Some people are quite shy with this, especially coaches, because they don't want to pick their own players. So however you prefer to pick 7 names, you can do this. The floor is yours.
Well, I think that you and I am certainly I certainly know that Marco knows this, that I don't do this. I'm just not picking the best lineup because as being as a coach, it's just put me in a position that it's not comfortable to choose the best of the best, not to skip someone. And I have to say that it's for me. I grew up watching the so many these idols for me. With some of them, I ended up playing. Then I played with someone. Then I was assistant coach looking some of the best. Then I was a head coach looking of the best. So to choose the best for this season or as a whole, there are so many great players. I started watching the guys that I couldn't play with. In that was the very old days. Then these generations of the 80s, they're very creative with the ball. So I saw all these guys, and then the game changed, and you played against some of these guys. You couldn't win the game against them. Then for me, it's impossible. Really, I can now we can now speak about the names, but then we will come to, I don't know, 57 names in the end.
Is there any way I can get you to say 7 names? Maybe maybe not even 7 names. Maybe if you prefer to talk about maybe 2 or 3 players that you could see being the future. I mean, we do have questions like this anyway, so maybe we could get it out of the way. Maybe 2 or 3 players that maybe aren't known about, that you know about, maybe at Jug, maybe in France, maybe somewhere else in Croatia, who you think that people should be looking out for. Would you answer that?
You're looking for a future. Wow. So back then it was okay. Faragoe, Stjarte, I don't know, Bukic, Milanovic, then Kašaš, then Vujasinovic, then it's
This sounds like a team. Sounds like you're putting together a
yes, it
team.
is.
So there we
Then
are.
you have the guys on the goal. Then in these modern times, the Perone, Xavi, Maro, Jokovic, on the opposite side now you have this Jakšić, Mandić, Deneš, Varga. So it's impossible. I choose. I mentioned 10 names, but I told you it will be 57 names. There are persons as a coaches and as a players that had a big impact on my career, and I will say that, for example, with some of the guys that I was a coach, I learned from as much as I learned my players like Pavic or Perone or Xavi. They also I learned from them.
Okay.
So
Okay. It was
big respect for all these guys, and hopefully that in the future we'll have the players that will be on the same level like these guys before them.
Okay. It was mean of me, but you did just mention Peroni there, and he's sent in 2 questions, as he
Yeah,
does. The first one,
he has a lot of time. I see.
course.
I don't know. It's
Celebrating, world championship wins and things like this, maybe. This first one I'm quite interested in. Would you say you are a more calm or nervous person than you were at the beginning of your coaching career?
more calm.
Oof. I mean, I've been on poolside when I've heard you shout a few years ago, and now I wonder what you were like 10 years ago, to be honest. You think you're calmer? You think it's come with more
Yes.
maturity and experience?
Yes, I think that I am at least a little bit calmer. And if he wants to check this out in person, then I'm inviting him to rejoin me at Jug.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. No pressure there then. Okay. He also asked another question. It's quite a difficult one, so I don't know. But what will the future of water polo look like? I don't know in what respect, but what does it look like?
It's difficult to predict. We can get back to one of my previous answers. If major nations will be involved more, I think that the water polo, the place of water polo will change on a positive way. Regarding the game itself, I think that it's something that should be voted by some kind of the consensus, but not from the water polo community, but from the public itself, to see what kind of the game they want to see. If it's more physical or if it's more moving game. I prefer games with less goals. That's my point of view. But if the public wants more goals, like what is the case in the other sports right now, if you see football, if you see basketball, then it's always the advantage is on the attacking side. So, yes.
Sorry, do you not like some of the new rules then that have been brought in the last 5 years or so?
I cannot say that I don't like them. Some of them are giving the clearer view and judgment from the persons who are watching the water polo. It's not about me and the referees and the players. It's about the hey, we are entertainers in the end, so we need to know what the public wants to see, and that's it. That's the first and the last question, and then we can evolve our sport. The problem is that when you are on the pool, it's much easier. When you're watching it on the television, sometimes it's hard to keep up with the game because there is too many whistles and too many decisions that you cannot explain, and there are too many situations whistle where there isn't a ball. So imagine any other sports, or so many whistles where there isn't a ball. the quality of the transmission itself, production should be better. The camera should follow the ball and the game itself, like in other sports. And for me, these are some of the key points of where water polo should go. Hopefully, it will be fast. It will be fast and with many skills regarding handling with the ball, and to give. We probably need a little bit more time in attack to do some changes regarding the tactical approach, because
In what ways specifically?
for maybe to raise the number of the seconds for the attack or something like that.
Okay, all right, I understand.
We have good changes. For example, you could see that this sideline changes.
Yeah.
Which was so. I remember when he spoke about this. I will not say that this was my idea, but it came to my mind. You have this substitute area of boxes behind behind the field, which is unlogical.
Yeah.
Now when it's beside the field, the pace of the game changes.
Yeah. Sure.
Change.
Yeah.
And so you certainly have the spots in our game that can upgrade our game.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We've got some questions from Elvis Fatovic. One of which I have absolutely no idea what this means, but I'm sure you will tell us. Can you tell us how you got the nickname, the Blue Angel?
Yeah, I can. That wasn't my nickname. That's a nickname that he used to.
Right.
Call me. Yeah, when I had my hair still on the head.
Yeah.
Which is no longer there, and the way it looked, and was he called me by that nickname. So
okay,
but this is a personal question. I don't know why this. We are using the time of water polo community to this. It's just I was just trying to follow my haircut by looking at him, to see this, because he had this mullet,
Yeah.
Elvis had this mullet. It's still very popular in Australia, so I wanted to have something like this, but in the end it's just, I didn't have the hair to do this.
This is important stuff, Vjeko. Hearing about this is what people want to hear. They want to hear why you.
That Elvis wore a mullet.
Your nickname that Elvis had a mullet. Okay, he does actually have a serious question. So the next one is actually serious. He says, "Why did you wait until the end of the season to start with the M zone defense? We all know how much you love it. Now, some people might not know this, but I mean, during the final of the Croatian League, for example, you had a really shallow, low, I guess, M zone that you played with, against Jadran, and they were basically shooting from like 3 meters. Not really, but would you like to talk about this tactical tweak that you clearly love, according to Elvis?
Yes, well, I have to say that I hated the M zone.
Okay.
Really, and that was my last option for the defense. I don't think that because the water polo was the last few seasons beginning to go into this M zone, and I didn't like so the M zone was creating something paradoxal in the game itself, because this is the zone where you are avoiding all the contact and you are giving the space to the opponent, but with this space that you are giving him, it's like a trap. So basically you are stopping the game. In all other sports, if you have that kind of space, it will speed up the game. In water polo, it stopped the game. So I didn't like this. And I use partial M zones in my defenses throughout the years, but not the full M zone. Well, this season we had difficulties, especially in the games against Jadran with their center line, and we had the lack of big defenders in our team. So in the end, we took a gamble and go with the M zone. It proves that we were right. Maybe I was stubborn throughout some parts of my career or season not to go earlier. But anyway, if we started earlier, then it wouldn't be like this key point. Probably the opponent would adapt, which in the end it did, because when we come to the final eight, it played against Ferencvaros, and especially we came to the final eight without our first defender Benic, and we had to go in this kind of the zone, and immediately Zsolt and Ferencvaros broke this zone, so we couldn't play. So that's why I don't like if if somebody breaks this, then you're on your knees.
Okay, so I assume we won't be seeing it next season then. Or no comment. No
We'll
comment.
see.
Surprise. Okay, we've got one from a question here from Cosmin Radu, formerly on the podcast, amongst other things. Who was the most difficult player you've trained? Now, I assume he means, maybe difficult to work with. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to speak about this publicly, but maybe he's not talking about himself. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, not himself. Cosmin was certainly the name. That you asked me about the best seven. So honorable mention. If Cosmin choose, because I know that he could to play for a major country, water polo country, like Croatia, Italy, maybe he would be the greatest center of all time. Amazing abilities, all up to, and I know that if he would choose to go back into the pool right now, that he will be uncompetitive after 1 year that he didn't do anything, and the 40 years of age. Amazing guy, and he was very easy to work with. I cannot even joke about this. He was very easy to work with, and it's usually with the greatest ones. It's easy to work. Well, I had many players now, with whom I worked. I expect a lot during the practice from my team, and individually and as a group. It's demanding. I know that I'm not the easy coach to work with. Let's say that with Medo Bradovic was difficult to find the balance between his talent, which is unbelievable for any sport. It's unbelievable talent, and his working habits. If I have to choose one, I would choose him, but he's the definite game changer. And in the future, I think that all that he did during his career, because if he choose to be more, involved on the practice, I think that he would have even more success in his career, and he had a lot. But I think that he's excellent material to be a coach one day.
Good.
So that he will use all this, because all the best coaches, I'm not including myself, because all the best coaches, had this. They can see the things from all the aspects. The ones who were also on the dark side at one point.
Okay, good. I like the answer. We've got a question from Vuksanovic, who formerly of Hanover Sharks, now just taken up a role at Duisburg, and he asks, why is Diani his best assistant, and why not Misko?
That's not true. Gianni and Mishko are my best assistants, and my spiritual guides. I have to say, okay. They are the ones who are most responsible for the growth of our young players, and they are doing amazing jobs in Jug. So I will not divide these two guys. They are on the same level. It's just that Gianni is traveling a little bit more with me because Mishko likes to stay at his home and go for fishing.
Ah, okay. Nice, nice. He likes to go fishing, likes to do things in his free time. What about you? When you on the odd one day a year you get some time off when you're not recording a podcast in a high performance center in France, what do you do to relax? I know you've got two young boys, and you love where you live in Dubrovnik. So what are your hobbies outside of water polo?
Well, watching water polo games, that's the biggest one.
You love
But now when as being a father, it's all basically your I'm just looking forward to every moment with my children. And last week they were here in France. We've been together with for family was here for 7 days, and we traveled a little bit around. A great experience for us, hopefully for them for a future, and a great benefit for them to see the world at such a young age.
Okay, okay, nice, nice. And I guess the last question that I guess we have, in 2 years, obviously, we've got the Paris Olympics. That's when presumably you end your work, or you might stay on with France. Could this be the moment where you potentially leave Dubrovnik, um, if maybe the Croatian national team came calling, or another professional club in Europe? Would this be your time to leave?
Well, nobody knows what will happen in a coach in life of a coach. I have 3 more years of contract with Duke, and I hope that I will be there for at least three more years. I wouldn't have anything against to stay more than that in Duke. I told you that it had some difficulties when you're a long period of time on one place, and it definitely change you, and you maybe feel too comfortable in your surrounding. But the life itself in Dubrovnik is amazing for me. What will happen, we don't know. Maybe tomorrow I will be on some other place. I had last 2 seasons really some opportunities for another uh, positions, and they were all great, and really, I have to say that it was a big pleasure and privilege to me to hear these things. But again, with you, with all these guys down there that trusted me, that now, after 7 of these, it's still in Dubrovnik. People said, "You're from Zagreb, you're from Mladost. That's your club." But really, I have to say that after these 7 years, and even before these 7 years, that Jug is my club, and the club that changed not only not only my career, but my life itself. And if I go, or if I stay, nothing will change this fact that that was maybe the biggest impact in my life as a whole. To move to the Brownie.
Okay, lovely answer, Vjeko. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much, James, and all the luck to you and Total Waterpolo in what you're doing. You become the best website in the water polo community, and I hope that you will remain that.
He is a great guy. He's an amazing coach. He was a fantastic player too, and we really appreciate Vjeko coming on the podcast today. I really hope you enjoyed that. I always feel when I get to speak to Vjeko on the rare occasions, I always learn so much, and today wasn't an exception to that. So thank you, Vjeko, for joining us, and thank you to you as well for staying tuned in and listening and supporting the podcast. I appreciate it massively, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, look after yourselves, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.